His name was Frank Tayali, who was the National Youth Chairman for the UPND. That is how he seconded the motion, and the name of Hakainde Hichilema was now presented. And a Bemba man winked at me. I winked at him. He was not in the previous meeting. He had arrived at 9 o'clock for the National Management Committee meeting. His name was Frank Tayali, who was the National Youth Chairman for the UPND. That is how he seconded the motion, and the name of Hakainde Hichilema was now presented officially for consideration as Vice President. I want to apologize to the nation. I want to apologize to the UPND. I want to apologize to Southern Province. I want to apologize to the Westerners, my Mbuyes, and everybody else, for bringing you a man who should not have been in the first place at the expense of this man here. I want to apologize to you, Sakwiba Skota, because it should have been you. My considerations were only financial, so that the party lives on. I didn't know that we would have this character of a person for the leadership of this beautiful country. Honorable Mundubile, the spirit of Anderson Mazoka is in you today. You have joined us. May the people of Southern Province understand what this means. Thank you. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Mpamba Royal Establishment, and indeed on behalf of Temba Mpamba 6, Temba Mpamba is concerned and woke up to a shock to hear the news of the happenings around Martha Lungu Mwitumwa. You may be interested to know that Martha Lungu Mwitumwa comes from Mpamba Chiefdom. And as a royal establishment, and indeed Chief Mpamba himself is concerned about what has happened to her. We come to address the nation on this matter, that if indeed Martha Mwitumwa has been purportedly abducted or arrested or indeed detained and in the authority or custody of the police, we want to appeal to the command to give us specific information of her whereabouts. Chief Mpamba wants to know where her niece is, together with her friend. We have tried to get in touch with the husband, who has indicated to His Royal Highness that he equally doesn't know the whereabouts of Martha Mwitumwa Lungu. Countrymen and women, we are only 2 days away from elections. As a royal establishment, we want to appeal to the people of Lundazi and indeed the whole country that we must hold this peace. We must stay calm. Let us go and vote in numbers. Let us go to vote for peace. We appeal to His Excellency the President to stand steadfast and hold this peace firmly on behalf of the Zambian people, as he saw constitutionally. We want the police command, we demand that they update us, they update the nation, the whereabouts of Martha Mwitumwa Lungu. She was taken, we have seen the videos on social media, with unregistered motor vehicles. Gunshots were fired. This needs to be verified, and we need the information as a royal establishment so that we know the whereabouts of our daughter. We want to go into this election as one people, as one Zambia. The president has preached unity, and he has preached that there should be no arrest until investigations are concluded. We therefore want to appeal, as the president has always appealed himself, that this must be done justly, peacefully, and sincerely. Where there is violence, let us
They were following this guy.
What's happening?
It's what picture?
But they've gotten the lady.
Yeah, the lady was the one that was driving.
Okay. On behalf of the Finlay family, our family has published a statement on Veldon Harry Finlay's Facebook page regarding the circumstances surrounding his detention. We wish to confirm that to the best of our knowledge, the events described in that statement are accurate. At this time, we have not been officially informed of his current whereabouts. We have not been granted access to him. We have not been provided with clear information regarding his continued detention. To the best of our knowledge, he has not been formally charged with any offense. We have not been permitted to provide him with his required medication, which is a matter of serious concern to our family. Serious concern. Our family respectfully appeals to the relevant authorities to urgently clarify Veldon's whereabouts, allow appropriate access to him, and ensure that he is able to receive any medication and care he requires. Above all, we appeal for this matter to be handled transparently and strictly in accordance with the law, with Veldon's legal fundamental rights fully respected. We remain deeply concerned for his safety and well-being and respectfully request urgent clarification from the relevant authorities. Please, we thank everybody for the support, and please could you be with us in prayers for Veldon. Thank you so much.
Indeed, uneasiness in the country, uneasiness in the opposition, family members crying for their own. They don't know where they are. They were picked by unknown people, purporting to be law enforcement agencies. And you can feel the distress in the voices of family members of those that have been detained. Amnesty International have issued a damning report against President Hakainde Hichilema's government, stating that he has violated human rights, abused rights of citizens, entrenched tyranny with the laws that have been passed. Today, we are yet again 2 days away from elections, reviewing the press, and I've got a powerful team with me that is going to help me.
Zambia is not a UPND police state. Vote Brian Mundubile for peace and unity in the nation.
We are in, but I notice one is missing. Dr. Brian Sampa is supposed to join us. PS Chanda, Kazia, Augustine Mkoka already in the studios as we analyze the newspapers of the day. My dear brother Augustine, I've seen you've gone off. Just see how you can quickly adjust so that we begin the program. P.S., how are you today?
Well. I'm okay, but just distressed with what I'm seeing. It's not a Zambia that I expected. It's not a Zambia that I've known for my part of my life. It's a Zambia that I can't believe is just like right on that trajectory. It's difficult to just believe. And also what is very disheartening and shocking is just to see how fearful people have become. Like, they can't talk because they don't know what's going to happen the next day. But then as more and more people are getting quiet, so is the level of tyranny that is being done by the state, by the police. It's regrettable. Anyway, we'll discuss that as we go on, but I'm okay, and I'm ready to have a really a good conversation around that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Augustine, I don't know what your feelings are. I hope you are well. How are you today?
Ambassador, good evening, good morning, Zambia. It's a very sad day for our country to receive reports that are currently obtaining with a heavy state machinery on the neck of the opposition hours before an election is something that many democratic Zambians did not envisage when they cast their ballot to elect President Hakainde Hichilema as the 7th Republican president of our country. I do not think this is the Zambia of our forefathers wanted to see when they fought independence in 1964. This is not the Zambia we who were on the streets of Lusaka in 1991 to fight, demonstrate, and join University of Zambia students demanding multipartism. I do not think the situation is what we thought it would be. Reading in the opposition leadership being abducted by an orthodox state operative security unit, and also stealing money from the opposition is not something that we expect to be reading, expected to be experiencing. How does the state send its security personnel to an office, a law firm of a respected and distinguished gentleman such as our brother, Mr. Chisanga? This is a man of fixed abode. This is a man you can call to the police at any given time and he will show up. Is a man who has represented several political figures, ordinary citizens, companies in the country, and you go and pick him up in the night, disregarding all his human rights. I do not think this is a country we want for ourselves, Ambassador. And I trust and I hope the people of Zambia are watching what is happening. You pick up Jaffe Mwakalombe, you pick up Honorable Sebastian Kopulandi. These are well-known individuals in our society. Now, if you can treat those gentlemen the manner in which they've been treated, being bundled in vehicles like common criminals, How will a poor villager in Mwanzawombwe be treated? In Vubwi, Chama, or Shangombo be treated? I think there has to be dignity in our politics. This is not the way we should run an election. I do not remember, unless my memory serves me right, I don't remember President Edgar Lungu, may his soul rest in peace, treating Mr. Hichilema the manner he's being treated during the period of an election. 72 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours before an election, you start arresting your opponents willy-nilly. I mean, where are we headed to as a country? What wrong have they done for them to challenge him in this election? What is it? Why is he so desperate that he should pick them up in the night, 24 hours before an election? What is the desperation? What is the urgency? What criminal offense have they committed to be part of an opposition that he thought there was never an opposition? For the longest time, President Hichilema sang a song that there was no opposition. He was going to walk back into State House, or is it Community House, like no man's business. Today, he now feels that, the opposition he thought never existed actually did exist. And he's dead scared to see himself lose the election. And now he's out there abusing state machinery to fight the opposition. I mean, this is not the reason he was elected. He was elected to govern the country. And governing the country means doing so even in a volatile electoral period. I hope he realizes and avoids the path that he's taking the country into, because I do not think Zambian will accept this path. No sane Zambian will accept going on this path. I don't think that's the reason he was elected. He was elected to govern the country democratically. And what he has done so far is the most embarrassing thing to do to a country, especially in a democratic process such as this one.
Indeed, Augustine, in the glare of international observers, international journalists, and international dignitaries that are in the country to witness and observe our elections, you have these activities that clearly just embarrass our country. The matters against NRPUP, the Tonse Pamoze Alliance, can be traced back to June 9th, when the late King, His Majesty King Mpezeni, was put to rest. We saw a crackdown on the security team of Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu on the allegation that they had caused violence in Chawama. They were picked up, they've been locked up in not Chimbokaila, in Mwembeshi. This is Rick Chambawilo, Thomas Mvula, Peter Moawa, popularly known as Peter Macheni, Rickson Piri, and Black Apple. These were a core-strong team of Mundubile, and they were picked up, Mundubile and Makebi, they were picked up, and they've been locked up since June 9th. Then the next biggest crackdown we saw was in Mongu, when they were in Barosaland in Western Province. We saw the arrest of journalists, artists, and over 32 members of Mundubile's security team were picked up. This was the biggest crackdown. Moses Singandwe, Chester, popularly known as Chester, Winston Ngosa, IDC Light Comedy, Felix Manganipiri, Felix Ndangeni Nshila, are among the artists and musicians that have been locked up. And earlier, they had started with the Deputy Secretary General of the NRPUP, Tonse Pamoze Alliance, the Deputy Secretary General, Kenneth Kamba, who was in charge of vote protection, was picked up. And the next time we saw him was the other day when he was being whisked away from Ibex Hill Police Station with Vowden Findlay, who himself was picked up during the holidays of commercial agriculture and commercial show that takes place in Lusaka. We saw the arrest of Fraser Musonda, former Lusaka Deputy Permanent Secretary. These, Kenneth Kamba, Fraser Musonda, these are key people in the Secretariat that are doing all sorts of programs to manage the party, manage the campaign, and also do programs like Get to Vote and Vote Protection programs. Then we saw a matter of Victor Mziamba, Dixon Tembo, and Enoch Mwanza, the youths that were taken to Russia to do VVIP security program of protection, for Brian Mundubile. This has raised concern with the state that why did you take people to Russia? And they are seeing all sorts of conspiracies. The boys have been detained without, again, access to family and lawyers, and they've been detained since they came back from Russia. Yesterday, while Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu were having their virtual rally, because again of the security concerns in Southern Province, a matter we would discuss, because personally I felt that they should still have proceeded to Southern Province, but there's been a heated debate that do we risk their lives, do we risk limb and arm just to hold rallies? There's been that contested debate. While they were doing that, the police, the so-called police, because they are a team, we don't know who they are, but they are a team, and they surrounded the law firm for George Sanga. And we understand they stormed the area without search warrant. And George Sanga was coordinating with the provinces and apparently had, we understand, an amount of 7 million kwacha. From you and me, the donations and the campaign that they had done, they had raised 7 million kwacha for poor agents, the party agents that should monitor elections on behalf of the party. The police swooped in and confiscated that money, picked other documents, did a thorough search, and picked Sebastian Copeland. Sebastian Copeland was picked separately, but Jafen Mwakalombe and George Sanga, the lawyer and owner of the law firm, were picked. I played the video of a representative from the Royal Highness, Chief Mpamba's Royal Highness, and they are pleading for the case of Ambassador Martha Lungu. Ambassador Martha Lungu Mwitumwa was our ambassador in Switzerland, and she was also our permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva. She was picked like not even a common criminal. She was picked like she was an armed robber. You could even see the individuals that were taking that view. They said, no, this must be C5. There is no way C5 would swoop. I mean, there's no way ordinary law enforcement agencies will swoop, intervene, intercept a car, block it, the car hits into a tree, and they pull out the two passengers, the two women that were in the car, violently pulled out of their car, and the cars sped away, as you saw. And the person who was taking the video says, this must be C5, and the women must be part of the thieves, because they couldn't believe that, for example, a former ambassador could be subjected to that kind of treatment. Gentlemen, we are here for what the papers say. Let's see what the newspapers of the day are saying, and I invite your comment. Let's start with the must. They are quoting President Hakainde Hichilema, Elvis Nkandusori, who's saying they will provide 200,000 youths to have jobs. Kapwepwe has urged citizens to vote wisely. And then the Amnesty International report, has released that report just a few days before elections. And those are the main stories in the newspaper. You can just take note. They cracked down against, not the opposition, we shouldn't even say the opposition, they cracked down against Tonse Pamozi Alliance, because no one has been arrested from Citizen First, no one has been arrested from Socialist Party, no one has been arrested from Zambia Must Prosper, no one has been arrested from any of the 14 candidates that is standing. They've just targeted the leading candidate, Brian Mundubile. So Tonse security, media paralyzed. That's what the Daily Nation is leading with. They're also talking about the Amnesty International report. Then there's an embarrassing matter. There was a huge gathering of students that were from higher education institutions that were addressed by the president. Huge mass. And then we saw the videos in the evenings of the students stranded, calling to be paid their money, cursing. Others were there up to midnight. They were still demanding to be paid their money right at the roundabout, near State House. And it became what came out well, just turned out to be very, very embarrassing, where whoever was told to manage this matter, I think, embarrassed the head of state. And there are a lot of memes and and other things that are flying on social media over this. This, again, Times of Zambia, a state-owned newspaper, is talking about student solidarity. We know, like I'm saying, it turned out very, very sad. The issue of voters' card for salt, apparently there was an allegation in Lundazi where members of the opposition were caught distributing salt, and and in the rural areas, you give salt and sugar or cooking oil. Those things are very valuable, and we saw this Real Times leading with that story. And News Diggers is leading with Hichilema having wrapped up 127 rallies. I thought there were 157, but the News Digger says 127. And Brian Mundubile has done just under 60. You can imagine the crisis because he's not been allowed to fly. And he had disruptions along the way. The rallies were cancelled, disturbed, or stopped. And he couldn't deal with the state clearly frustrated Mundubile, and is done under 60 rallies, while President Hakainde Hichilema has done, according to News Diggers, 127, but I was counting 157, but something that we can verify later. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know where Dr. Sampa is. He's a medical doctor. He probably has been called to an emergency, or he has been unable to come, but he had confirmed. So we'll just go with the three of us. Let's hit the ground running. P.S. Kazia, your take on the newspapers of the day before we go to the other issues.
Okay, I think I will take on the two things that were very, very, very touch for me. One is the same one for the, the abductions and the people missing. One of the things that we must ask, a very uncomfortable question for the president, is that he is not just a president of UPND. He is not just a candidate who is running. He is a head of state. He has an obligation. The obligation he has to say nobody is abducted. He has that obligation to say people should not be abducted. People should not take the law into their own hands. He has an obligation that nobody would disappear in police custody. He has an obligation that nobody will be arrested because of political affiliation. These are things that he has sworn to protect. He has an obligation that nobody will be denied a due process of the law. He has an obligation that nobody's campaign will be crippled through selective policing. He has an obligation that the police must arrest on evidence, publish the charges, and they have the due process of the law. Look at the example you've given. People arrested in June and they have not been presented before the court. total abuse of the law. He has an obligation to protect all of us. This is why the core is that the president has failed on that score. Even if you give me food, if I'm not safe, I will fight for my safety first before I even eat. He has that obligation to make sure that everybody feels safe. Right now, he's failing on that score. He is failing on that score. He can't just be president when there is now commissioning of projects, roads, when they are being opened. That is when he's president. When someone threatens to kill his competitor, he's quiet. State House becomes quiet. And they diffuse the responsibility like it's not theirs to ensure that each one of us feels protected. The other one is just the University of Zambia. I can't still believe. I can't still believe. Because students walk almost 10 kilometers. You know, Unza and the State House should be around, I think, 5 kilometers going back, 5 kilometers coming back. They walk to go and give solidarity because they've been given food. The meal allowance has been increased. We must all know that it's very important and we shouldn't downplay the role of giving food to our students. They must be given food. But to make that as a very fundamental core of the university student is distressing. Because what we're expecting, I'm expecting the university students to knock at State House demanding to fund research, fund the laboratories, give innovation grants, create student capital, venture capital, commercialize innovation, give them access to technology. That is what I'm expecting students. If these things are being given, postgraduate research financing, connect universities to industry. We build the Zambia. That's what I'm expecting the students to go to State House. Say, if these are there, I would be the first one to say, wow. But to put band of students together, make them walk, dress them in t-shirts, only to go and dance on stage, bring a musician, and then start dancing around the thing. Okay, Bali, and we are a SIM card and the phone. And then ultimately, what is so bad is you even now promise them to take them back by buses to campus, then you make them walk back, like say walk of shame. Now the students from the University of Zambia are walking past Kalingalinga and they're being made fun of. That look at a girl child who went celebrating. He comes back hungry in the same way. Because the leadership of the, we know how these things are done. The leadership of the university are the ones organizing, they are the ones that are getting the money to, to enjoy for themselves. And then others must give the applause. This is not a way to run institutions. This is not the way to conscientize our students, our young people. Remember last time, Ambassador Mwambana Bamukonka, it was after all the celebrations that we came to know that a student died in Fikomata at the University of Zambia. It was after all this. Have you seen the lecture? The lecturers have been complaining about being given their dues. The lecturers, they have been complaining. Remember, this is another aspect that we can come and have a conversation on just the student, the terminal benefits for the University of Zambia lecturers. I was leading the team. Money was given, but because of the same political influence that the current government had on, they had a very good grip on the lecturers union. And what we saw is that the whole thing broke down in a hope that it would be reshaped. What happened? Nothing. They are still where they were. Still, the financing for research is not there. Go to the professors at the University of Zambia and say, how much grant have you received? But if they can find, look at how many students were addressed in all those t-shirts. If that money went into research and development for the university, if that money went into preparing the students for internship, connect them to the industry, how much value that would add. But then we are using them as a tool for radiation. Yes. So what after that? And if an opposition leader wanted to go to university and say, let me have a conversation on what I want to do for you, they would not allow you still. They will organize, engineer, oh, get out of here, we don't want you. But the university should have been leading in this debate of ideas. I was expecting to see
speaking to PS, not to interrupt you. Speaking to that matter, the candidate for Roma constituency, where the University of Zambia is, has been crying. Chilando Chitangala, former mayor, has said they've not allowed her to address the student. And they are a huge gathering. And then she has seen UPND hold activities, speak to the students, and she's been denied that opportunity. She's from the Resolute Party. And here it is, for example, the president was speaking to students, obviously, to persuade them to speak to their issues so that they can vote for him. They're a huge bloc. For that area, where I can give an example of the Munali constituency in 2021, where at the time University of Zambia was, Thomas Sipalo and the ruling party candidate, Thomas Sipalo was leading. And the winning ticket candidates came from the University of Zambia, who tipped over. But, Thomas Sipalo was leading. So the University of Zambia is very critical, just to support what you were saying. And sorry, my question to both of you would be, the University of Zambia students of the 70s, of the 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010s, 2015s have always gone in protest. This is the first time we are seeing a student body behaving like their party cadres. What is the reason?
Vamkonka. Maybe I should go first. It's a systematic way to tilt the conscience of the students for political gain. We prey on the vulnerable minds for political gain, because in the times of that, you couldn't manipulate the students. They were a very difficult group to manipulate, because they were always reading they were always researching. Remember, we had money called the project. We were given money for project where you would do research, produce a research paper, and
I see what has happened. Thank you. Doc has come in, and I probably could have sent him a link that has displaced my dear brother. Augustine, give your reflection as I retrieve Chanda Kazia.
Absolutely. Quick one before I come to the students, Ambassador, on the papers that we are reviewing, I think there are a couple of promises here that I observed. There's one for 200,000 jobs to the youths. And there's also another promise that the president made considering meal allowances to private schools or private universities. Then I look beyond that. There's the president having had 127 rallies, which comparatively, with opposition leader Brian Mundubile is at 64. But I want to focus on the promises and come to the rallies. First of all, the promise that there will be 200,000 jobs should be based on facts, should be based on systematic planning. What are we looking at when we are talking about promising 200,000 jobs? Which industries have we come up with in order for us to give these 200,000 jobs? When the UPND came into power, they found a youth empowerment program. And there were also buses that were bought for youths and stuff like that. But what did they do with that empowerment program? Or how have we managed youth unemployment in the last 5 years? If you look at the numbers, there's huge increase of junkies on the street, Osaka and the Copperbelt. And these junkies or these youngsters who are exposed to drugs ended up becoming a security concern. What have we been doing? They've been mugging people, mugging women. What have we done to make sure that our cities are safe? You cannot come today and start promising 200,000 jobs when you're not dealing even with the basics of protecting the same youths that are unemployed. I think these promises that the people of Zambia should read through and know that they mean nothing in terms of tangible results that they deserve when it comes to having a good life. There's also a promise for meal allowances. First of all, even for public institutions, the government struggles to meet these meal allowances. So beyond meal allowances for public institutions that are funded by the government, how are you going to manage to provide meal allowances for students in universities? I don't think this is a realistic promise, and no sane voter should buy into these promises, Ambassador. Then you also find that the University of Zambia has got so many problems. Why would you abandon, first of all, resolving the University of Zambia problems and start dealing with private tertiary education of facilities? There's an issue of accommodation at the University of Zambia. Students are living and squatting in places like Kalingalinga. There has to be a systematic way of resolving the accommodation crisis at the University of Zambia. Those are some of the priorities. You need to also ensure that there's proper sanitation at the university. How about the workers at the University of Zambia? How much has the government channeled towards their welfare? And how are their salaries? The lecturers, and all other people that work at the University of Zambia, how are they being taken care of before you move on to the private institutions? You need to resolve the issues of the University of Zambia, Copperbelt University, Mulungushi University, before you move on to private schools. I think this will be more reasonable to deal with than promising meal allowances for private schools. Coming to the rallies that the president has had, I think this has been an uneven campaign. Remember that the first time they started campaigning, the opposition was withdrawn from the field. They were withdrawn from the field. They came up with a calendar. That calendar did not include the president. So each opposition leader or each opposition political party was given 5 days. Now, if you give 5 days to an opposition political party to go to the Copperbelt, and then when they leave the Copperbelt, they're not going to come out of the Copper Belt, how many more rallies do you think? You cannot boast when you create an even rules that you've 127 rallies, and you're trying to mock your fellow opposition. First of all, you're not playing by the rules. The timetable only applies to opposition. I think, yes, the sitting president might have access to state facilities. But they'll be transported, of course, by the state security, by the state transportation, and everything. But one thing we should not forget is that the sitting president is a candidate in that election. There are certain things that he should do that are at par with the opposition. If the opposition is not going to go back to the Copper Belt, why has the president, for instance, gone there 3-4 times? If the opposition is not going to be allowed to go back to Lusaka, the president has been having rallies in so many, places more than twice. He went to Eastern Province at least 2-3 times. He's been to Northwestern Province at least 2-3 times, and he's been, to all these areas. Maybe Luapula. He was in Luapula, and he just came from Luapula. You find they've been there 2-3 times. Their friends have only been allowed 5 days. What kind of an election is that? How do you call this a free and fair election if you're not going to be equal in terms of access to the voters? I think this has been an unfair process because if my memory serves me right, it has never happened that, opposition leaders can only campaign for a specific time and they don't go back there. I understand that part of the reason, or one of the reasons ECZ came up with this timetable is to manage clashes and avoid people clashing. But if you're going to avoid people clashing, ask people not to be in the same place at the same time, then the president's access to these voters must be equal to his competitors because it is a competition. You are talking and conversing for votes from the same people. So one person cannot have more access than the other to the same voters. I think that is where one of the reasons that, the opposition has not had sufficient access to the voters comes from. But in present day world, the beauty is that there is the internet. People have got smartphones. Majority of Zambians, we may underrate them, have access to what is happening on social media. They do have access. They are seeing what is happening in social media. I'll give you an example, Ambassador. The video we recently posted on Facebook that have now gone viral of the Zambia army logging a suspected illegal miner in Northwestern Province. No one knew about that video. No one knew the extent of punishment people were going through, irrespective of the activities that they were engaged in. Remember that the army commander had once said they're going to exterminate and then used very strong words at some point. When you look at the capital punishment that was subjected to that individual in that video, I think it's the most dehumanizing way of dealing with anyone who, first of all, is not guilty until he goes through the process and then is established to be guilty of being an illegal miner. I do not think now it is social media that caused the Zambia army to admit that yes, this incident happened, and yes, they dealt with the incident internally before it came to social media. But if it didn't come to social media, the Zambian people would not have known the cruelty that their friends, their brothers were subjected to by officers who went there to protect, that site. Now, when you think you are having rallies in these areas and you're the only one who can disseminate the message to the voters, you're making a mistake because the people are seeing what is happening. The people are observing how you're treating others, and you're going to be judged based on how you're treating others in that office. Now, I think when we want to buy into the rallies, yes, you've had so many rallies, but what cost to your friend? How advantageous has it been to you because you've got access to power compared to your friends? People are seeing this and people will be able to judge. It should not fool anyone that because they've had so many rallies, then they have had sufficient access to the voters. The voters themselves are seeing, the voters themselves observe the amount of violence
in the ruling party. We used to accuse the PF. The people accused the PF of being a violent party. I've observed. Look at, I was reading somewhere in Makeni, Lima constituency, new constituency in Kanyama, the attacks on the opposition. They've continued. Just last night, there was an attack on the opposition in Chaisa. People are being beaten. Now we know. Now we've got evidence that the PF, the UPND rather, is the most violent political party in the country because they hid around, they used lies, they used strong propaganda and branded the PF as a violent party. But here we are. They cried foul over violence, but they are the perpetrators of this violence. Look at how they've distracted the opposition rallies all around the country. And partly, if you saw in one of the headlines, that's the reason why I think President Brian Mundubile has said, look, rather than go to Southern Province and create a fertile ground for another violent, interaction, probably with the police or with cadres, let's protect the peace of the country, have a virtual meeting, and then, advance our messages through that channel rather than, increase the tempo that we are experiencing, Ambassador. So there is sufficient access to the voters through other means than the rallies President Hichilema has advantaged himself.
Indeed, in fact, someone did a comparison and all the meetings that Brian Mundubile and activities he has had on social media and, the broadcast of the president's rallies and meetings, Brian Mundubile is scoring 3-4 times the number that the president is scoring. That means he's reaching more people than the president on social media. Let me bring the students as they were marching yesterday, and I bring in Dr. Brian Sampa because this is his favorite issues around the student, having been a student leader himself. So this particular matter fascinates him for a good reason. He wants change with the student body and student management and the relationship between student management and the state. But here is this short video.
A few moments later.
It ended in tears. Dr. Sampa, wow. This is your favorite subject. What do you make of the rallies, of gathering students from all institutions of learning, gathered them at a political rally at State House, but clearly the large turnout is that someone induced them, first transported them, and I think they were supposed to be paid. But at the end of the day, the buses disappeared and people were forced to walk. And the students, as you saw, they were marching, demanding money. Where is the money?
Yeah, so Ambassador, it's a sorry sight when you look at that. I don't know why President Hichilema is not learning anything from the past. You see, students are always eager to get paid, and they can do anything to get paid. So whoever is lying to him that he's popular is going to universities, they get students, they pay them money, and others are promised money afterwards. I've been a student myself. I know UNZA very well. If you come with money, they are going to say you are the best. We used to joke at UNZA that if Welensky was to come to UNZA and start paying people, still people are going to say, Umuntu ni Welensky. because all people want when they are students is to sustain themselves, and most of the people are coming from low socioeconomic status homes. As a result, they rush for these events and in an event to get paid something. So yesterday, the busing of the students and then taking them to State House, those students purporting that all of them are supporting the UPND, that is self-deception. And when we look at those videos, they are in itself a testimony that indeed this government has been embarrassing itself from the time they started these rallies. We are from talking about, my brother was talking about the rallies, 127 rallies the president has done. And when you look at those rallies, I can only imagine how astronomical the figure is the UPND has spent. And it will be very interesting, Ambassador, that after the elections, let's have an audit of the resources that were spent during this period. You'll be shocked with how many billions, because this government has been busing people everywhere they go. Now we're talking about more than 127 rallies, and in these rallies, there were a lot of buses. People were paid monies, musicians, and all those, the influencers. We would like to know how this money came about and how much was spent. Now, talking about the rallies themselves, the students and the way they are being used at the moment, I think it is very clear. Yesterday, I received a call that there are 3 students who need transport to go to Copper Belt. Somebody asked me if I can help them with transport on Wednesday so that they can travel to go and vote for Munduvile. But I asked myself, but isn't the entire UNZA for Hakainde Ichilema? These students said, no. You know, the thing is that these guys, they just pay us to go there. So even if they were to provide us transport to go back and vote, we are still going to vote for Brian Munduvile. Now, the mathematics behind the students is that, for instance, at UNZA, we've got those 35,000 students. And most of these, you know, when we say 35,000, not everyone is doing full time. Others are even on distance. So when you look at that number, the people who are in school, we always say that the ones who are staying on campus are only 4,100. So even if you say Hakainde was to win the entire University of Zambia, he would only get less than 20,000. Those are the people maybe who may even be able to vote within Lusaka. Actually, less than 20 will be able to vote within Lusaka because most of the people are coming from outside Lusaka. So whatever money they are spending just to get maybe 5,000 or 3,000 votes. Then you go to these other universities, it's the same. The mathematics doesn't even add up. The money they are spending and the kind of votes they can get from these institutions don't add up. Because the polling station UNZA is not just about students. And again, those students, they don't live in Lusaka. It's an assumption to think that everyone who is there comes from within Lusaka. So the optics may appear like somebody has got a following, but in reality, it is all a fallacy. There is nothing there. There are no votes there, and 3/4 of those students are not going to vote for him. Just like what happened in 2011 when Bwezani managed to pull students, pay people, but still he even lost at the University of Zambia. The same way Bwezani even lost at State House. This is what is about to happen this time around. When you talk to people on the ground, you are able to tell that indeed this is going to be a repeat of history. Now, the 127 rallies. Ambassador, for me, when I saw the UPND bragging about 127 rallies, I laughed because them themselves know that in 2021, when Hakainde won, Hakainde barely made it to 50 rallies. He didn't even campaign in several places. When you talk about Muchinga as an example, Hakainde had never campaigned in Mpika, he had never campaigned in Shwangandu, he had never campaigned in Chinsali. He had been to Nakonde, then he went to Mbala, then Kasama. So when you look at the number of places he went to, there were very few in the country, but he still won. The UPNG, for some reason, think that the rules apply differently from them and the opposition. If they were able to reach people without definitely not going to see those people physically, the same way they did it, this time it's even more extensive. So the opposition are able to reach more people even without going there physically, excuse me, than the way it was in 2021. Remember that this time is a digital era. And then 2021 to 2026, more people have got connectivity to the cell phones, connectivity to the internet and Facebook and all that. So right now, the opposition through the Tonsi Alliance, they are reaching more people. And the same change that happened in 2021 has happened now at a faster rate. So the 127 rallies, for starters, it is not even necessary. You see, it is like fattening a cow on the day of slaughter. That's what Hakainde is doing. The thing is this: the winning of an election is not about visiting and talking to people. If it was merely that, then the presidents, the incumbents, would have never lost elections. Because in our country, the incumbents have always had access to the people. They go anywhere. For the 5 years when they are in power, they go anywhere, while the opposition are not allowed most of the time, or they don't have resources. So if it was just about meeting people and telling them, vote for me, then the incumbents would have been winning all the time. But as we have learned in the past, it's not about talking to people. People themselves are the ones who just look for another person to replace you. As early as 2021, Ambassador, people started saying, we know who not to vote for, but we are looking for who to vote for. So when Mundubile came, and like what Chimbagambwili said in one of the presentations I listened to on radio, that indeed there is some divine intervention, because nobody even knew Mundubile before that time. Nobody knew Mundubile would be known this much. Mundubile appeared, and with God's intervention, and then everyone has jumped on Mundubile, because people already knew that they didn't want UPND, but they were looking for who to replace UPND. So they are lying to themselves. But as it is, because they know the popularity is not there, the UPND are looking for anything they can deem as an advantage. Even if it's them creating it, they are calling it as an advantage. So 127 doesn't mean anything, because even this, with this 127, he has gone to certain places 3 times. So if you go to the same place 3 times, you are meeting the same people 3 times. The same people you load shaded for 4 years. The same people who had bread at 4.5 kwacha in 2021 are now buying it at 25. The same people who were buying eggs at 30 kwacha, now they are buying it at 85. The same people who are buying chicken more than 150 when they were buying it at 45. The same people, you are meeting them. So it doesn't matter how many times you meet them. No matter how many times, in fact, it becomes irritating to the people. The more you go there, the more irritated they become. They become nonchalant to whatever you are saying. There is no longer any excitement. It's just you now being there and people watching the musicians. That's why we have seen that when he goes to places, when the musicians start leaving, the people start leaving too, because there's nothing interesting to listen to. So the 127 rallies, people shouldn't worry about it. This won't help them, and it doesn't advantage them in any way. Now, meal allowances. You know, Ambassador, about meal allowances, saying that the president is going to now give meal allowances to private institutions. This is a president who has not been giving everyone who applies for bursaries. At UNZA, the previous announcement, they only gave about 60% of the people who had applied. So from the 798 people applied, they gave somewhere 3,000 plus. So more than 1,800 were not given. So this same bursary, which is a loan, they are failing to give everyone. So then how are they going to extend it to other places? Because if at all these people are genuine, they were first supposed to make sure that whoever applies for this loan should be given a loan, since it's a loan after all. Even if that person has got some money home, if they applied for a loan that they're having hardships, you should give them, since they'll pay back. But people were not given, even people who qualified. So how then are they going to jump before they can finish this problem of the University of Zambia, CBU, and Mulungushi, and start giving other places? So that's what desperation does. In desperation, there's no logic. You just want to say what people want to hear. But Zambians have seen this. People are able to see how the man has been able to promise heaven on earth during this period. Are you aware, Ambassador, that this man has worked harder during this campaign period, more than how hard he worked the entire 5 years? And he has promised more things. He has promised more things in 5 years, Ambassador. than whatever he has ever promised. He has talked more than he has ever spoken in this campaign period. Every day. I will just cite an example. Just
In the 127
yes,
rallies. Now, let me throw this
Ambassador.
question to the team. Let me throw this question to the team. I want us to tackle the question of whether Brian Mundubile, Makebi Zulu, and alliance partners should have gone to Southern Province. They chose in its place to hold a virtual rally. Let me just play what came out of the virtual rally. They purposefully said it was for Southern Province. Although the entire Zambia and the entire world was watching, but they tried to tune, especially the algorithms, to Southern Province, including the delivery of the message. It was in the language that the people of Southern Province could hear. And for me, here on this platform, it's been an issue. People said, no, walk in there, go into Southern Province, despite the risk, despite the intelligence information that violence would break. So let's just discuss that particularly, and then we move to the next issue, the issues of these abductions. We end and then call for people to join in, ask questions, and we wrap up. So let's go to that question, but let me play this video.
Actually, for consideration as Vice President, I want to apologize to the nation. I want to apologize to the UPND. I want to apologize to Southern Province. I want to apologize to the Westerners, my Mbuyas, and everybody else, for bringing you a man who should not have been in the first place at the expense of this man here. I want to apologize to you, Sakwiba Scotta, because it should have been you. My considerations were only financial, so that the party lives on. I didn't know that we would have this character of a person for the leadership of this beautiful country. Honorable Mundubile, the spirit of Anderson Mazoka is in you today. You have joined us. May the
Bana Musanza, Bayoba Tambula, Mbuli Muziali, Kambo, Avalo, Mbana Zambia. President Mundubile has assured me that in spite and his concerns for Southern Province and his desire to preserve the peace, to avoid the injuries which could happen to innocent people, in spite of what has happened, he has assured me that he's going to give attention to the Southern Province like any other part of the country. Abobo Nobana Musanza, Amuli Jane Mutubunga, join the party structures in the Southern Province. It would take what was no. Gatwendera antomwe ndila alusho mogwamba kuti influmende iyanda kuzigalwa mumazuwa byomashonto aya ajala inoli influmende iyo tulanga mumapenzesu wonse pa President Mundubile kumusanza atu yanda kuti bulimi mugabulange. Please take very serious note of agricultural problems. Tuyanda kuti malwa zango mbe mugalange. We have many problems regarding animal diseases in the Southern Province, and when we talk about animals, for us in Southern Province, an animal means a cow. We don't talk about animals like hyenas or any other animal. If we say look after animals, we are talking about looking after cows. Please take it.
So that's a snippet to the virtual rally that was held live yesterday by Brian Mundubile, Makebi Zulu, but they brought in the people that hail from Southern Province. Sakwiba Scotta, although he's Lozi, but his political career is known in Southern Province as he was Member of Parliament for 2 terms for Livingstone. Siache Madienkuku, former Minister of Youth and former MP for Sinazongwe. Major Robert Juka, the one that was tendering an apology, who said, HH was my project. It's me who brought him. Although Sakwiba Scotta was in line to take over, I felt that we needed someone with financial muscle to sustain the party, and you saw his apology. Then there was Matiola, who was the director of ceremonies, Kebimbewe, who hails from Choma. They really anchored the rally. Although Makebi Zulu and Brian Mundubile spoke, essentially, it was a rally for Southern Province. But views are divided. Should Mundubile have gone to Southern Province or not? They stated the reason they couldn't go, the threats and the false assurances that were given by both the state and by the police. According to their information, there literally was going to be bloodshed in Southern Province, and to avoid that and to protect life, they decided to hold a virtual rally. Others are saying, no, you should have picked EU and international observers and others, and they should have been in your entourage as a way to deter the attack from UPND thugs. But I don't know if the UPND thugs can be deterred by the presence of foreign observers. So the door is open. Let me start with former PS Chanda Kazia on this matter. To go or not to go?
I think if I refer to what Dr. Brian Sampa said yesterday, I'm inclined to say not going was a good idea, because there has been onion peeling. They take out all the people that are supposed to be your anchor. The security team, they take it out. The entertainers, they take them out. The strategic planners, they take them out. So once they took out so many, imagine the numbers that we are giving was almost like 40 people. They've broken the cars. They attacked the cars. They did, and there was also going to be serious attacks at large scale. Now, that was not going to prove anything for a determined group that wants to injure. I do not think that there would have been, because the EU or whoever, they would have stopped that from happening. No. And we have been hearing the plans. The cadres for UPND did not hide about their intention to harm, to attack. And there was nothing that was going to clamp on them, whether we are here, the part structure, maybe through the Secretary General of the UPND, to speak to say he will not tolerate violence, and those that have been, advocating for that maybe be held accountable or something of that sort done. There was nothing like that. You see, if they force matters to go into Southern Province and they get injured, or there are killings, or something happens, it will not deter the UPND and the government to say, let's proceed with whatever they're doing. Look at just the brutality that has been there. They arrest the Secretary General, they arrest the Deputy Secretary General, they arrest the financing. They even now grab the money, even when they know that every political party raises resources to fund its own activities. You go and grab the money, you grab the people without explanation. And we had the intelligence, of course, from what we were hearing, that they wanted to grab more people, arrest more people from the team. It was going to be a very difficult time for the Tonse Alliance partners. I think going virtual in the current circumstance is what I would support.
Augustine.
Initially, when you look at the campaign program, you would have loved for them to go to Southern Province. But after incidents in Western Province, I think it became untenable to go to Southern Province. Why did it become untenable to go to Southern Province? Ambassador, when you look at the incident at Luampa, the first thing you see as the team was arriving is that the police was having a good moment with UPND cadres. They were basically chatting and, interacting as if they were plotting on how to handle the visiting delegation for the opposition. Now, from that incident, the UPND set a trap and found an opportunity to deal with, Brian Munduwile's team, basically to cripple him and weaken him. And it is from that incident that they went on to arrest and pick several other people around his team, the musician, the IDC, Chester, Gaddafi, and everyone else, Felix, the musician. They picked them from the Luampa incident, or after the Luampa incident. You get into Kaoma, Brian Munduwile is having a road show. The police decides to disperse him. There was no program for a rally there, but the team decided to go for a road show. Even a simple road show, again, they were dispersed. We get into Mongo. You have served, Ambassador, as PS in Western Province, and you know how respected the palace for the Lutunga is. The police did not respect the meeting that was taking place there. Immediately they arrived, they started ransacking the vehicles, they started searching the vehicles. It became a chaotic scene. It was almost a taboo. After that taboo at the palace of Elitunga, they proceeded to the rally in the afternoon when Woaka Kashamba Tombikusita Lewanika was addressing the rally. Here is the police, they tear gas, the audience. They literally dispersed that rally. Now, those incidents in Western Province, not isolated. You recall that in Lusaka, there was an incident where a projectile hit a young woman. That young woman was injured and taken to the hospital. On the Copper Belt, the UPND attacked Tonse. To this date, there's been no arrest. When you look, even in Western Province, in Northwestern Province, when the team was arriving, again, they were attacked, cars broken, damaged. To this day, Ambassador, we have not heard of any arrest from these UPND organized violence attack on NRPUP delegation. And when they received intelligence information that Southern Province will be worse, going by the experience in these other places where only the ordinary people have had to save them, they realize, look, we might want to go there, but it might be chaotic. The UPND is, the Southern Province is a stronghold for the UPND. Take Mazabuka as a litmus test. Look at the chaos there between the supporters of Gary Nkombo and UPND. Most of Gary Nkombo's supporters have been arrested. Those who attacked Gary Nkombo are not arrested. There was no guarantee the presence of Honorable Brian Munduwile will be without, incident. Now, you ask your question, should we go there or should he go there? What if lives are lost? What is his conscience going to be clear that should first not have gone? I think after analyzing the whole situation, looking at how the police have failed to protect the opposition, it was a good idea to be safe than sorry, to protect the ordinary Zambian citizens than try to go and get the votes. You remember that due to COVID, there are certain areas President Hakainde Hichilema did not visit. I think he didn't visit Copper Belt a few days before the elections. He wanted to visit Kitwe, but for one reason or the other, he was not able to go into the Copper Belt. He still won some votes, he still won some seats. It doesn't mean that the people of Southern Province will be upset. I think they will understand that it's best to protect them and their lives than force an opposition campaign into a place where an opportunity has been, or just a trap has been set to create untold chaos. Because we've already seen what we've never experienced in this election in
in Zambia, and really going to fall into that trap would not have been the best way to proceed with the election this year. And on that score, I believe that it was okay to skip on Southern Province for now, just like yes, as
Let me bring
stated, yeah.
in Brian Sampa. Doc, you had already started engaging on this matter. Just finish your thoughts.
Okay, so to start with, I will refer to Proverbs 22 verse 3. You know, Proverbs 22 verse 3 says, a prudent person sees danger and takes refuge, but the simple keeping going and pay the penalty. So what that means is that a wise person is able to discern where there is danger and they are going to avoid it. But a fool will continue going until they face the consequences. Now, how do we apply this chapter? You know, when we look at Southern Province, let's take, for instance, Gary Nkombo's case. Gary Nkombo is one person who has faced a lot of persecution in Southern Province. In broad daylight, Gary Nkombo was beaten, his shirt torn, and the next day, the same person who tore his shirt went and reported that Gary Nkombo attacked him, assaulted him, and stole some money. Gary Nkombo was arrested and put in cells until he got a bond. The person who did that, when Gary Nkombo reported, was merely put there under a camera that they have been arrested, then they are removed. And what's funny is that for the first time in our country, we are seeing the one who assaulted is reported, they are arrested today, and the one who reported is also reported, and they are arrested tomorrow. But the one who is reported second is arrested, and the case is taken so serious than the one who actually did the crime. So if what we saw is compared to, let's say, if diesel, because diesel is a flammable liquid, but it is not as flammable as benzene. Now, benzene is highly flammable. So meaning that if diesel was able to be lit in Mazaboka, what more if we take benzene there? The temperatures are so high, it would be a bomb if we were to take it there. So Brian Mundubile can be likened to this highly flammable liquid, which is benzene, and then Gary Nkombo would be diesel. So if it happened to Gary Nkombo that way, how about Brian Mundubile? In Mazabuka alone, if Brian Mundubile was to go there, the first thing is UPND we are going to take it that, and they already started this on their pages. They were saying Mundubile is preparing to go to Mazabuka so that Gary Nkombo can endorse him. Now that was a preparation because they knew already how people are going to react to that. Secondly, the UPND were saying the Tonse Alliance was planning certain occurrences, like violent occurrences, and then frame it on UPND. Again, that was in preparation for what they were about to do. You see, these people are so predictable, very predictable. A day before the occurrences in Western Province, their supporters were talking about why roadshows should not be allowed and why the police should act. And indeed, the following day, the police acted the way they did. The roadshows were cancelled. So we saw also the preparation that there was going to be violence in Southern Province. They said there will be violence, but the Tonse will blame UPND. Again, they said that Gary Nkombo was going to endorse, and they said that the Tonse were planning to injure other people. So all those things you were getting, they were just preparing people's minds for what was going to happen. Indeed, when I analyzed this, because at first I was bent on thinking that Mundubile should go there. But after analyzing what was going on, and when you see the pattern, Ambassador, the pattern is very simple. Let's just start from, we don't even want to start from far. Let's start from Northwestern Province. In Northwestern Province, it's one of their strongholds, but not as strong. So what happened was in Northwestern Province, they had sufficient numbers to try and cause commotion, but they didn't have sufficient numbers to cause injury. So when you see they were trying to block, they would come close to the rallies. But from Northwestern, when they went to Western, the intensity was more because now they had more people in Western than Northwestern. In Western, we saw what happened. There were spats of violence and their rallies were disturbed. Now imagine from there, the police even entered the scene now, because the police now started doing the bidding of the cadres. So after that, if they were to go to Southern Province, if in Western Province they were running away from tear gas, in Southern Province it would have been live bullets flying, because those are the things we're even preparing people to go through. And again, look at the cost, because a good leader should look at the cost and the earnings. If you go to Southern Province, there was more danger, and that's the cons were more than the pros of going there. He was going to risk a lot and losing most of his people, since he had already lost more than 32 of his security detail. He had lost more than half of his musicians and the comedians and the media. So if he was going to go to Southern Province, the UPND were going to arrest even more people. Maybe he was going to just come back alone with his driver. And now that was going to put him in a very precarious situation. Because remember, this I can now confidently, Ambassador, after analyzing everything, I can confidently say the UPND are planning to rig. And they have started the plans of rigging. Why do I say so? You know, when you are planning to rig, you take out all those influential people who can give you problems after the elections. We have people like Binwe Mpundu, we have got people like the musicians, we've got people like the lawyers like Batsanga, and all those who are prominent in Tonse. They have started arresting all these people so that in an event where they will be counting of the votes and everything, these people who could have made a lot of noise and tried to push and who are going to organize people in case of anything, these people are being taken out. So that now it will be without a leader, only Munduvire alone will be there. It will be very difficult for the same Munduvire to be at the totaling center, fighting for the votes, and also be able to organize everything and secure his own life. He can't be at the totaling center. But that is what they are doing. So they are arresting people every day. Now, this can only be done by a criminal entity. We are not dealing with people who are a government. They have used the government machinery to perpetrate criminality. So it is very dangerous. In fact, because people's lives were at risk, for me, I concluded that it was okay for Munduvire to do what he did. And you see the people who came to endorse him, they were also saved. If they can do that to Gary Nkombo, what do you think they would have done to Madienkuku and Chizuka? They would have done bad to their families. Sometimes these people, they end up even attacking family members. So they would have attacked them, they would have attacked their family members. So it was even safer for Madienkuku and the other people who spoke, because they would have been seen as traitors. And they would have taken it very seriously, that side. So it is okay. Munduvire still reached people, and the people he reached, he was able to tell them what they were supposed to hear. You can look at the numbers. The numbers were very good. The shares were very good. You are having more than 3,000 shares. When you go to the page for the president, those shares are less. The people who viewed that same broadcast in 1 hour were more than 390,000. Even if those people, not all of them were from Southern Province, even if just 50,000 from Southern Province heard that, those people will be campaign managers. They will tell other people about what they heard. It is information era. So this digital era, you can still reach people, and there is no need to worry about other things. So I think it's okay that they didn't go there.
Thank you very much. We take a small break, and when we return, we take your phone calls. The lines are open, and we'll be discussing the abductions. And let's hear from you. The lines are open. Make your phone call. Let's hear from you, and the team will be discussing the abductions. got callers already. Please just be patient. Let's start with this one. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Thank you, Ramwamba. Good morning. I don't know what time it is. I'm calling from Australia.
Just hold on. Australia, hold on, Australia. I've got this caller here. Hello, caller.
Good morning. Kanamesa Mwashukashan.
Entam kwa mwashukeni.
Kwai kulira tule bulecha. But I wanted to just go through a couple of issues. Number one, we're entering through
Who's calling, and introduce yourself and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling you from this side of the pond. I'm gonna remain anonymous for the reasons that you know.
Anonymous, make your contribution.
The abductions and all kinds of things. It's not where we wanted it to be. But first, I want to encourage my Zambian patriots. We have to redeem ourselves. My people, this is not how we've lived. We have a culture. Culture is a way certain people have lived for hundreds of centuries. We lived under the colonial masters. In 1964, we redeemed ourselves. We tried multi-party. We tried single party. The material, whatever happened there under UNIP. 1991, we said we want to go back. Amai Soseli. Came Frederick Chiluba. God bless his soul. He had the fortitude to tell us that, you know what? You can unleash your potential as a Zambian. There were flaws in that ethos. And this is what I want to speak to my people about. Because at the time that we're gaining ourselves, we're liberating ourselves from this single party entity that we had lived. Remember, there was a state of emergency where the police could come in, they seal off a whole compound. I fear that we are returning to that position. These abductions, the Mayowa ambassador, I'm begging for her life. But let me progress with my contribution. Give me at least 5 minutes so that I land my point.
You have to be very, very quick. Precise? Because I've got already 3 callers are waiting.
Oh yeah. Cannabis, I know you. But let me just in 3 minutes, please summarize my ethos. Zambians, my people, we've gone through the darkest of periods. We've endured so much. Under 27 years, we had a period where we could say, people could insult and call Manawasa a cabbage. It cannot be so today. So we that's why I reference that time frame. So that by Gen Z, the young ones should understand that there was a time when you could call, let the people talk, and you could insult, and you could even ask the president, why are you buying all these shoes? And he would answer. God bless him. Frederick Chiluba could answer the question. But this one, there's never been the conference. He promised that every quarter he would have press briefing. We haven't had that for the last 5 years. My people, please. Kwate niko kadia. Kwate niko 5. When you promise something, you have to deliver. Let me get back to the basics. What has happened over the last 5 years is so shocking, and it should question even the most literate illiterate Zambia should understand this. You said there will be this. Why are we going through this? Basic, simple questions. Look at what Traore has done in the same time frame. Look at what Namibia has paid off the euro debt. Has Zambia paid it off? No. We're just punting. Restructuring means mune tuale kongore kutansh abakalipira. Right now the dollar is $1.18. 18 kwachas for $1. In 50 years, maybe to be 100 to $1. Do you want our sons or our daughters to pay that extra? What's the difference between 18 kwacha and 100 kwacha? 80. So we are punting, we are passing the buck. We are suffering now, but our grandchildren will suffer more under this regime. I would have rather we had Alubwize. Alubwize, they packed him in Brazil. He's right now in Brazil. That guy is a war planner. He was taught here in the US. He understands how to put water. When there's cholera, he can put water in every precinct. But let me summarize with this parting point. If it were my people, do not believe lies. Zambia has a lot of resources. The problem is we have a tiny few that want to live like kings in the midst of a suffering majority. Let us not allow them to do that. This time, liberate yourself. Liberate yourselves. My people, kumusanza, kwahaye, kulubemba, kuchipata huko, kunimva, kose kumanimva liwirangwa. Pakuvota. Remember the 4 years of load shedding. Remember that there are no wheelchairs at UTH. Remember there is no medicine at the hospital. While foreigners are taking over 8 billion they've taken since 2021. He's allowed because he wants to be king. Him alone must be worshipped. Should all Zambians worship one man? Well, we don't have medicine in the hospital. We don't have safe water.
Anonymous, thank you very much.
Thank you
for
God
your
bless
contribution.
you. Kanabesa, I thank you for the privilege. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, we have got so many people waiting. Let me just take this call. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution. You said Australia?
Yes, please. Good morning, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good morning. Good morning, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Nicholas. I'm calling from Australia. I'm a supporter of BM8 and the team.
Wonderful. Make your contribution, Nicholas.
Yes. So, Pariayama adoptions, or Trandatama adoptions, I want you to understand, those of you that can read, you go and read on a Soviet Union leader, that time USSR, by the name of Joseph Stalin. You discover that his childhood was a problem. And because of that, he became a narcissist. But when he is appearing to people, he appears to be a very good one. And terminated all the generals and all those leaders in the army and started controlling everything. And this is typically what is happening in Zambia. I might not be very, very sure of how President Hakainde grew up, whether he grew up under his father or not, but I take it he has the same problem with Stalin. When you look at them, anyone who gave them praises, they will embrace, but he criticized him properly, positively, Now look at the people like Chirufya Tayali. Insulting, and later on. So he does not want people that will tell him the truth. So as people go to vote, please, because he's, I would say, a political narcissist that cannot change. He's just full of himself. If he does not get what he wants, he ends up attacking the people that are close to him, that are trying to help. And we are talking of the freedoms of our people. So the only time we can take and remove Hichilema, this is the time. We use our votes and then go and vote wisely. Remove a person that is coming to arrest each and everyone. Look at how many people he has arrested ever since he entered into office. He is not the right person.
Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you very much for... Yes.
To conclude with this point, look at his own people that are so close to him. Cornelius Mwitwa. Look at the former Home Affairs Minister, Jack Mwimbu. Where are they? They are quiet because they are scared they might make a mistake in one statement. They are all quiet because they fear him. So let us eliminate him, let us remove him, and get people that will respect our rights. Thank you so much, Mamanda.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller, you've muted yourself. Hello, caller, unmute yourself and answer. Hello, caller.
Good morning, Ambassador.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ambassador, ni bamungonge mwashuka shani bamu.
Ifero twala mukusendama.
Okay. Ambassador na isambire ngeko fyotu. Then injipshe kuna question imo kuri wonse mwe bali uko. Ambassador kuri moyo banje bere koyo bebati diplomatic and official channel. Contact the nearest US embassy. Send urgent alerts if evidence of rights violation, institution takeovers to political and human rights. Second, engage US State Department. Use social media, direct channels to tag message to the state departments. The law of democracy, human rights, and labor to request immediate public condemnation. Third, public international pressure. Leverage international pressure. Send verified videos, evidence to declare to major international news outlets. Fourth, mobilize domestic collusions. Rely on local civil society groups, labor union, and opposition leaders to document abuses as external actors. Ambassador Parifi na vere ngako bushe epo ba HH bambiro kutushupa mali poti nshina ngama channels to taking up because democracy ba mwambata yafyalirwe mu Zambia yafyalirwe kufuma ku America eba ishire tulanga na bachuruboro bayishira democracy ifwire yabaso so nga twalando kweba tifo fwebe na Zambia twala iruira nombanga tatuchitire mo involved aba tuletere chire chintu because ba HH pakona ore democracy tabambire mu Zambia bali amuna abantu outside within the America kora kuno kwinga babantu abenga twafwa from the British ukwinga babantu abenga twafwa na bena ba HH okubairo kwamuna abantu abenga bafoko na ora democracy wa HH if bare tabachitire plan locally bambire kunse na pakureta bonsa bo bateni bure what bali ishiba nomba ba ambassador na ndero mba ofwebe na Zambia twalaro okupitira mu wina Zambia nomba na ifo turefu ako at least abantu abaturetere democracy to defend baso korere nyoko baba bese mubapere na ma information kwe bati chintu baturetere ifwe chatureterera pali urefu kuchona ora nomba pakuchona ora nishini fwe wale ona ora pantu fwe bapokerera chire chintu mu Zambia as a representative democracy ukufuma kuri bakaunda fwire to alirira kuba fyashi bali abaturetere democracy nombanga to alira fe fwe bene baraba fyashi nga chakweba kitabomfire okulira kwese tabayishibyo kwe bati chintu baletere mu Zambia kuli wishire mukuchonaula so na nkwashara 2 days bamwamba kiteniri chauti abantu bamwe bakwe bakirifu fwe ba Muzambia turerwisho kwamba lero na mairo ate yakuvota wese bamone chi democracy baturetere efyo barechonaula. I submit bamwamba.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good day. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Yeah, my name is Mata. I'm calling from the Copper Belt.
Mata, make your contribution.
Mwamba, this is a very, very sad day for the Republic of Zambia. I would tend to believe that all our forefathers, including my grandfather, was a freedom fighter. Their bones are turning in the grave right now. What happened last night, where I think the secretariat was stormed and all the finances that we've been contributing were taken away. These are finances that were supposed to be used by the polling officials and agents who are supposed to be manning the polling stations. Now those monies have been taken away. We do not understand what kind of animals we are dealing with and what kind of democracy we can talk about. The abduction of prominent persons like Honorable Jafen Mwakalombe, Honorable Chisanga, Honorable different people that have been taken away on the pretext that they are being abducted, the Ambassador Martha Lungu. All this is a mess standing in front of us. But we have a God in heaven, and I will stand on that cause, Ambassador Mwamba. When what happened to our friends in Malawi last year, where a similar situation, they had elections, but God prevailed and were able to pull through. I still strongly believe that we have a God in heaven who's watching over Zambia, and no manner of confusion, no manner of evil, Satanism is going to prevail, and nobody shall stop in favor of cults and Satanism. Whatever killings they are doing and whatever, let's hold on and move into the promised land. This is our new independence. Zambia, arise, and we plead the blood of the Lord Jesus Christ over Zambia. Thank you so much, Ambassador and the team.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much for that contribution and that prayer. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good morning.
Morning. I'm calling from Northern Province. Kunyo constituency, Mpanda constituency. Hello?
Landeni poyama.
I'm quiet. Eto ndera ndako takwewo kukira chine na chiruvana sana abantu bose bareka abantu besu nomba kinga takwewo kukira to baleluisha kufwayanga bayipata bali abantu batei Sofia kuma provinces ama votes. Pero chondeko sereka kubandisa kwewa kutira baka indera ngovenga shupa shani. Me, I call him a hoof in sheep's clothing. Bantu imisango shabo esyo baba esyo balanda nesyo bacha sibe mbatu wonke okutira nibami miru. He will say something on the other side and go and say the opposite thing. He will say something and you will do the exact opposite of what he's saying. So the Zambian people, tulingire tukwacho omwenso nango panono, tulingire tukemye pia filaksine, yabaka tukwanishe ba state ababale bomfya ama state apparatus kuti intimidate awe. Ngatuwaima muchintu kunji konsoko tuli kuma constituencies yeti batukwanishe ba UPND na bakapokola bere nango baba bompete batukwanishe tukemese pamaka tukayevota kwambira pali president kushindana pali kansela tukavotera abantu besu bamo bene. That is the first priority ya kuchingirira vote. Elo nomba tukalero lesha pakutira twachingirira ivoti nomba mubaro veka tuivira tukemese tipya tuiumfa nomwenso pantu navatwikatira abantu besu awe namusepano nga twabombe fyo ni twabomba bwino kukira okulekerera security team yabamunjibira okukirayo ibombere pali voter protection ibombere pona pali voter campaign. 2 days is enough for us to continue campaigning and bring awareness to our people of what is happening. Tuikala pofi yetu lingire tusabankanye ifire tikanefagale twikatira abantu nese tulingiri okutya pakutira beka tuibira amavoti. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kasama, for that contribution. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Yes, please. I'm calling from Lusaka, so I'll just withhold my name.
My brother, make your contributions.
Yes. For me, my contribution is about the Mundubile team not going to Southern Province. I know there were some fears that were communicated, but the right thing they could have done, they were supposed to have gone there, even along the line of there, like Livingstone, Choma, Monze, Mazabuka. They could even have sent an advance team, even maybe without the President Mundubile and maybe President Makebi. Because in the politics, in a revolution, a person must never be scared of anything. That is between life and death. So next time, they must be able to come up with a strategy, and they should be willing to penetrate any area regardless of the danger that lies ahead. To get independence, if you asked Kaunda was young, he was only 40. But he had to face anything that lies in between, any amount of threat. And I can assure you in Zambia, if they had gone to Southern Province, no one was going to die there. That's just propaganda. Sometimes in politics, there's propaganda that comes to make sure that you are just threatened. Otherwise, that's my feeling, how I wish they went there.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, caller. Hello, caller. Uh-oh. Hello, caller. Network. Let's see if the issue go back. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello?
yes, caller.
Yes, it's me, my nameless. I don't know if you are getting me because network here is a little bit of a problem.
We can get you now.
Okay, thank you. Let me just thank you. Hello?
Yes.
Hello, yes, yeah. Bamwamba and the rest of you. Mweba fiashi besu, mweba pamlavasa, mwapeleni mkwai. Bamwamba, I just want to get you back. Yeah. Kumlandu wako ati lelo natuchita sana regret. I partly blame mweba mufilonga ndino mweba tusunga. You know Bamwamba, yesterday I listened very much to program of Beauty Kateve, and she tried to voice out, but you could tell that she was tied up. Yeah, she tried very much. She's a very strong woman, and I hand her. Very ngumfwa
Emkwai ture umfwa.
Emkwai pantu wako on the network daily win. So Bamwamba, you know, we could have worked so hard pantu plan yava bakateka vesu yakale bachitire plani mu 2021 parapene bawinine ubuntungwa balichitire plani already ukwebati inenkesi ateka until further notice katishuko so baliambire already ukulapanga ukulatite baonaula the three arms of the government, the executive, legislature, and judiciary, baonaula bakano kwative ive separate. Baisa onaula baisa ingira mudi church motherboard. Baisa ingira mudi ba union. Nobody on Sadidia, Elo Mwale Monokwebati, if you think to Fileva weekend, you could have worked hard. That was the time Zambians could have voiced out, work hard, and try. Pandefo Bale Tirefi, Badi Shibokatingana ona ulefi, Nkesa wina. Mkwai. Nombo kufikopo to afikelelo. Basango kwebati fionse fiofa ona wile, tafile bafwa. Nomba chinche chonala ona ula, echa lengano kwa tibona ule na wa PF. Nomba chinche chonala ona ula, kanjambe nombo kula ikata vagantu. Nomba papadi ilio bebati, force matters. So bale chita force. So fwe bantu. We should voice out. You know, ngatuwa ikala fiefi, tuala baniba delele, milembwe. So we should voice out. There is no checks and balances. Kwashala mai na buria kushuko kuvota. Tubeshe abakosa. Erwe chakushali kishapo. I'm so grateful kwebati bamundubire na bamakebi ba president beso ababiri tabaile ku western province and western province and southern province. Vale sabadi kanya. Ababantu bali tupela ukwebati babe nimtungulushi bamwambo tuba no tunono tulerira ndefo abamuntu bire kalira nefilamba chakupapusha so apo fe bale stana bakana ukwebati ababantu tetu mubachite nanikane etimubona ule eto no kuina twala wini no tena tule wina bakainda bale fana tabali hello I appeal to all the people who are supporting UPND, 10 against a vote for Mundubire. 10.
Thank you very much. Let's begin to, Augustine has kind of dropped off. I don't know what has happened to him, but let me check. Maybe there could be some message he has sent. Oh, there he's back. He's back. Yeah. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, let's begin to wind up the discussion. You can respond to any of the callers that have raised. Okay, I can see there's another caller. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. And we are about to wind up.
There is back.
Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Yes.
Anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous. Make your contribution.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to, also make a contribution regarding the decision that had been made by the president and the rest of the NRPUP leadership that they should not go to Southern Province. People, a leader who shows concern and love for the people is the leader that we want at this moment. That decision was not a weakness, but strength and love and peace, for me, has been demonstrated already. And in this era where we have other methods of reaching out to the people, the virtual meeting was the best. My last point is to just encourage all Zambians, each one of us, to have a spirit of bringing back peace, being strong, trusting God. We have prayed and prayed and we keep on praying and we are still on our knees. God loves Zambia. I pray today that this country, Zambia, be put at the center of God's hand so that all of us are protected. there shall be no bloodshed. Remember, what we say and what we feel, God has already seen. He is taking us to the place where we want to be as a country. In Jesus' name, I have prayed. Let's all see positivity. Let's all see this hand of God upon this country. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Comrade Mwamba, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Comrade, I also want to remain anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contribution.
Comrade, what is happening today in Zambia? Amamba kile pere chikonko. Le pere chikonko amamba. Le pere chikonko amamba. Over Christ. Il est oublié pour les conditions contre our people. Again, I'm not saying bullshit. Only
Thank you, caller. The caller is very emotional. I would have loved that we hear his expression, but you can clearly see the network is failing us. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution. Endita.
It's just a very short contribution, Mwamba. Apa twafika nomba, nchalanga, apa utatutu, that the government, na iwukila bena chalo, the government have turned against its own citizens. So, ichilipo, ifwewe na Zambia kuti tuipokolole, tuilubule. Ngati walalolesha ukweba ati government yala chitefu tuishive nefi mulu papulo lwesu la constitution takuli na chilanga icha batutu. No one is safe, whether you are UPND, whether you are in any political party. This now it has come to pass when Zambian people said opposition unite. Funyeni po bukaitemwe. Funyeni po ukutininebo. Loleshe nicho wena Zambia balelanda. Even those people who went themselves alone, they have shown that it has shown that they cannot do anything. Ichili poba mwambande panel there were Dr. Sampa and all those people are there. Zambian should make sure the opposition, the Tonsed are trying to raise resources, kutiviva afwe, but the ilo mwakwataba fyash, umufyash abanindo shambo kuli abana. Efi ya panomba, ambo kutapisha abana. Umuntu otwa bike patawe nintongulushi, ambo kutapisha abana. So no mefo chiva, kuipokolola, ama Zambiani tieni tuime. Tuipokolole. Those who have been adopters, polling agents, polling assistants, but for the now we have to die little. Itechava mundu vile over Makebi, Sampa, Dr. Sampande Pane, it's for the Zambian people to die a little here now. Ngata tuachitefyo, ababantu na abatuimina. taba tuleke bala tukata pamukoshi. So amwambecho ndelo mbako fe wonso kotuli wonso wale mfama Zambian. If you're a Zambian, you love your Zambia, you love yourself, you love your country. Let's put resources, let's put about luxury. Na mfefi tumbuwa ngani mbalala ngani shifo tukaja pa voting day to monitor election. Whether the resources are not going to be there, it's if it wakwa ni shokwenda wa Africa, you protect this country. Let's do this. Abantu na balanga bantalwe bantu ababi. Iyo na window shibale yikata mumushi. Kwali bafiriyefu banuisha ati Muchape na Kalola. Yawamapo kuchira president tukwete. Muchape na Kalola fyawamapo. Uyu muntu munkali wa mwamba. Te muntu musima fyonse file chitika. Te kwe bati bale chitafya abantu abe no kuchita yose. It was a script which was put down. And they only wapela my instruction ni yena. I thank you, Amwamba.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
This is Mama T.
Mama T, make your contribution.
If you're feeling ina totela. Mwe bantu ba Mzambia na tuimwena na tumonefile chitika. If you're feeling balanda bonse tentu ikatishanye. Apechi dipo kuishta liberate. Let's liberate ourselves. This is not normal. This is not the way people should live. Fiachila. Where on earth? Kwena na nguta pasoswa. Impie shishidishi enu mayagraba. Makanshi mukwete. Tamutina lesa. You don't fear God. Leso waba mumiuta mumutina. Makanshi mulefwaya yuene. Ninshi mwachita. Finshi muletino kwebati nga mwafuma mpawa. Efyo muletina, efyo muleona ole miosha abantu like this. Awe. Mwebena Zambia ni pasezde. Na tuikatishanye. Efyo fine tuikatishanye. We've endured for 5 years. Now that we want to liberate ourselves, malete mingala tuishosho muleleta. Awe, tamuli fair. Wakainde rolekesheni pachalo, muirolekesha mwene mweka awe. Don't be this selfish. Abantu bali mpela power. Not to come and mistreat people. Awe, lesa oko aba mwamba, tuala lubuka. Upa no fie. You can arrest everyone, but you can't arrest God. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let's take, this is now finally our last caller. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Dr. K from California.
Doc, make your contribution.
Wamwamba na like sha kipa questions. Ushefila tumfuile kuba ko palandi chachine.
Mkwai.
Okay. Isimbi shishiwe but ningufwa wala watatu balumbuile ati nabona abachita abducti. Number na live sha question and I want us to be very honest with ourselves. When somebody is going around the neighborhood nokupange chikwela ulubulisa na ukuma abantu to say alista terrorizing each panda. And the other thing that I want us to also look at is, can a government terrorize its own people? And we are going to say yes. And this is what we are seeing taking place. So, and the beating of people, the scaring of the candidates not to go to Southern Province, that is all terrorizing the other people that are in the country. Can you PND, if anything, I'm sorry to say this, can they be regarded as a terrorist party? I think so. This is terrorizing the nation. We, as a people, we are seeing the start of another Charles Taylor in the southern region of Africa. This is very dangerous. Or I can see we are seeing the rebirth of Mobutu Sese Seko in Zambia, which is not right. Zambia has been the most peaceful. I know we made a mistake when your counter told us that this is what is going to happen. We looked at him as just an old man, and we tried to respect him by not responding, but ignoring what he was telling us. And it has come to pass. And it's very scary, Bamwamba, that we are now going closer to the elections. And yes, my sister just said they are doing a mingalato. Are we? The mingalato. A mingalato ni entertainment that turatemwa n'okuseka mu bwola nga muntu wampika omungalato. Ubungofe, daylight robbery. What they're trying to do is to steal the elections. Trying to steal an election is not umungalato. Trying to rule a nation by force is not umungalato. Trying to change amaruzia game, temungalato, vukabolala. We saw, sorry to use this example again, what happened during the World Cup. There was a team that was being favored, but we saw what they were doing, and everybody looked and said, is this what they've been doing all along? This is what we are seeing today in Zambia with our president. We respected him, but I think he does not deserve that respect we've given him all along. It's wrong. It's wrong that he wants to rule the nation by force. And really, dictatorship anywhere in the world, dictators of leadership, that's what we should be thinking about. And that's what the people that are supporting him should be thinking about. Dictatorship, honestly, doesn't pay. Abantu ngana abakutemwa na abakutemwa ngata abakutemenwe. Fafini fashitri barani bali hao. Abayashi, late Edgar Lungu. Regardless of the situation, he just went to the stadium and handed over the powers. And abantu bali bashitana bu, bashita kubawela. But you know what? If he was alive, evacuated the last laugh. He will be the one laughing loud now. Because in photo amunekera muifipuba. If you know kuspinati to aliva support the boss abalipo, the rokanshi to amunekera muifipuba. It's a shame and it's a tragedy to the nation. Now having I want to very katamandini, awe chiretinya, and that is what the term terrorism comes from. Kutinya abantu, you are a terrorist. Say situation to Isangamo.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor. I'm going to make a great exception because I think this is, I don't know if this is a person, I think it is, but they will tell us. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes, caller.
Hello, Mr. Mwamba.
Yes, yes.
Ambassador, this is Reverend Sumaidi.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm calling from. Yes, good morning, and It is a very, very sad situation that we have in our country. What we are witnessing today is clear, unprecedented evil, wickedness, witchcraft, and terrorism coming from our own leader, the leader who is supposed to protect the people of Zambia, a leader who is supposed to protect the constitution of Zambia. He swore to protect the constitution. So it is very, very clear that as a people, we have to wake up. Zambia, wake up. People of Zambia, you have to get hold of your destiny. The destiny for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. It is time we have an opportunity now on the 13th of August to remove this wicked regime. You cannot provide leadership over a people that you hate, over a people that you are ready to abuse, and without shame. There is one thing that we have to do. Maybe two things here, Bamwamba. One, let's stay united as a people. We should have one mind now, and the mind is to remove President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND. We have to sacrifice. We have to die a little. We have to die a little. If it means we have to provide our services without being paid, let's do it. Let's rise up and defend the democracy that our forefathers fought for. This is the time to do something. You remember Bamwamba, Nehemiah, when he was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, everybody had something to do. And I want to call upon intercessors in the nation. Rise up, be on your knees. Let us fast and pray the way Esther also arose to defend the Jews. This is the time for those that are called by the name of the Lord to take a step in prayer, in fasting. But also let's offer ourselves as polling agents. Well, let's offer ourselves, as monitoring. Let us rise up. We are not going to take this independence lying down. No, even the children of Israel, they had to rise up and fight for them to get into the promised land. There is a promised land that is ready for us. Brian Mondubire, Makebi Zulu, they have offered themselves to say, no, we will take you to the other side. Now it is our turn as a people to rise up, and I call upon the church leaders. Church leaders, where are you? Church leaders, you are there very, shamefully celebrating a terrorist. You are there supporting somebody who has no love for the nation of Zambia. This is the time for us to rise up and to do something. We are on our knees. There is a God in heaven. There is a God in heaven who presides and reigns over the affairs of Zambia. He is with us, and he's going to take us to the other side.
Amen. Amen. Very powerful contribution. Very powerful contribution. Are you done, ma'am?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you so much, Bamwamba. Continue with your great work. You are a soldier on duty.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'd pronounced a last caller, but when I saw the number, I said she'll be a great exception. Let's wind up this program. I go back to the panel. Panel, thank you very much. Thank you very much, panel. Let's end this broadcast with, I don't know where that noise is coming from. Is it? Yeah, there's great noise coming. I don't know whether it's me or you. Yeah. Today, we're discussing the abductions, and I'm going to invite, let me just resolve that question, that issue. A feedback. I don't know where that feedback is coming from. Can you hear the noise, colleagues?
Yes, I can hear the noise.
Okay. Let's try to isolate.
I think there's a feedback somewhere.
Okay. So you are okay. Let's try. Augustine?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. So you are cleared as well. Let's see. Was any of us using Bluetooth? Are you okay? It looks like I think it's coming from you. Switch off the Bluetooth. What have you been using? Or is the phone flat? Yeah. So okay. So we've seen where the problem is. Thank you. It's a great way to isolate and identify. Yeah. Dear viewers, as PS Chandakazia is resolving the issue of that volume, probably maybe it was connected through Bluetooth and the battery is flat, it does that. Let me just run through the people that have been detained, literally abducted. We are not using the term lightly. They've been abducted. Because there was no call out for them. They were pounced on and they were taken in many cases to unknown places, and they were never seen, sometimes 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours, some even up to 60 hours. And these prolonged detentions have been a pattern. But an identified group, they don't seem to have been put together properly. There seems to be a shadowy government wing of law enforcement agencies put together. They appear to be parallel. Let's start with yesterday. Dr. Sebastian Copeland, Jaffen Mwakalombe, and George Sanga. The police stormed the law firm that is in Sunningdale in Kablonga, and they grabbed 7 million kwacha, the amount that was being prepared to be distributed to our poor agents, our party agents that are already in the field or going in the field. So the issue there, I think, is to paralyze the Get to Vote and the vote protection program that the party has been running. And remember that started with Kenneth Kamba, who's the Deputy Secretary General of the Vote Protection Program in the Tonse Alliance, Tonse Pamosi Alliance. Yesterday, we saw the sad part where Her Excellency Ambassador Martha Lungu Mwitumwa, former ambassador to Switzerland, you saw she was chased like an armed criminal. She nearly, we don't know, it could have been a fatality. She hit into a tree, and then we saw the two vehicles that were after her fish her out of the vehicle, and then whisk her away together with her vehicle, even without giving them permission. That was done. And she was with Hannah Katontola. Hannah Israel Katontola is one of the ladies that does, she's a media manager, she's the one that does live streaming for Brian Munduwili and Makebi Zulu for the Alliance. We saw Vauden Findlay fished out from his farm, his hospitality outfit that he has in Chisamba during the holidays. agriculture and commercial show, and taken to an unknown place. The family kept on looking for him, and he was only later, I think, found. We saw the visual pictures yesterday when he was being transferred to what we understand is Mwembeshi and Mwembeshi prison, and he was with Kennedy Kamba. Then we have the PS, former Deputy Permanent Secretary Fraser Musonda, also who's been working with the team, is from the technical expert, and he was also searched very early in the morning and whisked away. Then we had the four, therefore I'll get the numbers, but some are saying 4, some are saying 3, of young people that went to Russia to do a VVIP protection program and defensive driving. They are treating them like they went to train terrorism, but all they went to do was the issue of protection, to offer proper protection to Brian Mundubile. We have a very strange case which we discussed yesterday of Brian Muila, popularly known as Baba. Brian Muila Baba is a security for Danny Yenga, the parliamentary candidate for Kawata constituency under the NRPUP. And Brian Muila, who's called Baba, 2 Land Cruisers from the Zambia army, the witnesses that were there said they were commandos, because I think they were wearing red beret. They could be military police, or they were commandos who got the young man and took him away. And the family, as at yesterday, didn't know where he was. They went even to the Arakan barracks because the 2 vehicles that had come were military vehicles, the 2 Land Cruisers, and they were in military fatigue. Then we have those that were earlier gotten from Protea during the burial of Mpezeni. Rick Chambawilo, Thomas Mvula, Peter Mwaba, and Rickson Piri. These are very well-known, very, very strong, loyal cadres. And the police got them and they've been thrown in prison, given heavy charges of armed robbery, accused of having destroyed the campsite for the UPND in Chawama. Funny enough, the arrest of, Peter Macheni and Black Apple, among these, they didn't arrest those that destroyed Bright Nundwe's campaign center, those that were stoning Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu. And lastly, like I said, the shock yesterday of Dr. Sebastian Copeland, Jaffe Mwakalombe, and George Senga. Bamayo has spoken very well, former Minister of Religious Affairs and National Guidance, Reverend Sumaili. She's the one that was our last caller. She says what she's witnessing in the country is wickedness, witchcraft. And he says the kind of evil, the way they are pouncing on our people, amounts to terrorism, because they are causing terror, not just to the people they are picking, but they are causing terror to the family. And this has instilled fear in the nation. It has instilled fear in the nation. She's also said that she's called upon the president, that the president swore to protect the Constitution. The president swore to respect rights of citizens, including rights of his competitors. And she has urged the president to provide to honor law, the rule of law as provided by the Constitution. But she called everything that's been happening as witchcraft, wicked, and evil, the evil to the extent that it should be deemed as terrorism because of the terror that is being caused on citizens. Last night, when Sebastian Copeland was arrested, when George Sanga, respected lawyer, is former Law Association of Zambia president, is also a former lawmaker in Lukasha in Kasama, and Jaffe Mwakalombe, former minister of Lusaka and Copperbelt provinces, they were picked like common criminals. There was so much fear. Everyone switched off their phones because I think everyone went to keep safe. I don't think any of the senior leaders, including our president and vice president, probably slept in their home because of the terror that was caused last night. Tim, I hope we have resolved the issue of volume. Make your last remarks. You can comment on any of our callers and make your last remarks. I'm so sorry I've kept you so late, but you have to endure the suffering until, after the elections. And although I've kept you this late, I'll still need you tomorrow. Let's start with Augustine.
So, Ambassador, there have been some passionate and emotional calls from our people, particularly those in Zambia, experiencing this situation firsthand. The eighth caller from a gentleman who literally broke down may not have been very clear, but it was very, very touching. It was touching in the sense that when a man breaks down, when a man reaches a point of crying, you know that the situation is out of hand. The situation is totally out of hands, and somebody must bring it under control. The only people that will bring this situation under control are the voters of Zambia, because it appears President Hichilema is determined to suffocate the population, is determined to punish those with opposing views. The crackdown has not sat down well with the people of Zambia. Everyone, if you look at the tone of the messages, if you look at the theme of their contribution, is not only scared. The caller number one said, let us redeem ourselves. Let's go to the poll and redeem ourselves, because this is unprecedented. There was another gentleman again, I think Bamunkonge was actually appealing to the international community that, look, Zambia is degenerating into a situation where we can't handle ourselves. We have a president who is letting it go out of hands, and please help us. He was actually advising that if we can begin to formulate reports that will reach out to the international community to help control this situation, this will help bring back normalcy, sanity into Zambia. In terms of governance, I think the people are not happy. The people have Assad. They are reaching out to the voters and crying because there is no way. I actually liked the conclusion by Reverend Sumaili. She reached out to the men of God. If Zambia is a Christian nation, why are some of the religious leaders celebrating somebody who's causing terror? She literally called President Hakainde Hichilema a terrorist. What he's doing is instilling terror into the population, and this must come to an end. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, not to put words in her mouth, he was directly referring to people like Dr. Nevas Mumba. Dr. Nevas Mumba has been on an embarrassing campaign trail, celebrating the, for lack of a better term, nonsense that President Hichilema has been doing. You cannot, Ambassador, be arresting your friends, your political opponents, on the eve of an election, in an election period. Why would you go to the secretariat and get them? Literally steal, because an arrest, even when you are picking people from their offices, there has to be a call out. There has to be a call out. It's a process. Arresting people requires a call out. You invite them to the police station. These are people that we all know where they live. They're respectable people in society. They are not a flight risk. We therefore can institute correct procedures in terms of calling them for questioning to the police. You just don't walk into an office and then grab everyone, grab their properties,
At that point, take them into cells. Where is this culture of, picking people from the street? What if those were criminals that were picking Ambassador and Ambassador Martha Lungu Mwetwa and our dear sister, Eva? If those were criminals, because in some of those videos, you can tell that the people are worried. No one knows whether this is C5, no one knows whether these are robbers. Then can we run a democracy where we don't know, we can't identify who a security person who is supposed to provide safety for us in this society is either a robber or indeed a police officer? Think some of the people are identifying the gentleman by the name of Nectar Muvanga as an employee of the Zambia Air Force. But when did an employee of the Zambia Air Force become a law enforcer, a police officer? How are these things happening? I think President Hakainde Hichilema must come out clearly on these issues because they will live to haunt him. Apart from the fact that he was thrown into jail, for clearly interfering with a presidential motorcade. If what he did in Mongo to President Edgar Lungu was to be done to him today, I doubt the person who would do it to him will be alive today. This is the man pretended to come and want to run Zambia as a lawful leader. What kind of leadership he has instilled? What a fear in our people. I think this is totally unacceptable, and he has to do something. There is no way that law enforcers can be so lawless themselves. Reckless is an understatement. And I think you can tell from from the comments, from the contribution from the people, that this is not a good thing that is obtaining in the country. Two people did raise the opposition decision not to go into, particularly the NRPUP, not to go into Southern Province. But I was happy, the lady who made a contribution say, look, the decision to cancel that, outing was wise. It was out of wisdom. A leader must seek peace rather than go there knowing too well that should I go there, I will rattle the nest. Let me step back and find an alternative way to reach out to our people. Then, I would have fulfilled the same mission. Yes, it might not exactly the same that I would have been physically there, but it would have fulfilled a campaign process because it would also have saved life. I don't think, politics is about losing lives. We don't want to shed blood. No one wants to shed blood. No one wants to kill to be in State House. And the magnanimity displayed by the leadership of President Brian Mundubile and his running mate, Makebi Zulu, must be commended because they realized, should we go into Southern Province, based on the intelligence information we've received, there is a chance that there could be bloodshed. And they avoided. You cannot believe the people that have failed to protect you in 9 provinces, claiming that they'll protect you in one province where they have a stronghold, they have more supporters. There's another gentleman who said, I'm not too sure if I was reading somewhere, or one gentleman says, look, some of these actions are provocation. President Hichilema is trying to provoke the opposition. He's trying to provoke the supporters of the opposition to react. When they react, then the electoral process will be disrupted. So it is this point where everyone should be urged to be calm, focus on the day of voting, make sure that the day of voting happens so that we don't have soldiers on the street because the opposition has reacted. I think that is a very good point to observe, that please do not overreact. Remember that somebody has sensed danger. Somebody knows that the situation is not good for them on the ground. Chances are high that they are losing these elections, whether they like it or not. There is a high likelihood President Hichilema is losing this election, and now we've seen a heavy hand of him on the streets of Zambia. So I'm hoping that people will turn out in huge numbers. People can see for themselves. People understand what is happening. It is now time to make a decision and make a difference in the ballot box so that we reorganize ourselves.
Thank you very much, Augustine. PS, you still have some noise, but let's try.
Do you still have some noise here?
But I think it's passable. Make your last remarks.
Thank you very much. I can't agree more with what my brother Mkonk has said. He's really dissected it really good. And mine is just to bring out what Reverend Shumaili said, the issue of terror. And this terror is going on unabated, like it can't be stopped. Look at what the soldiers did to that person, tying him to the tree. They beat until he stops crying, and they're making fun of it. Look at the man who just went on stage and just hacked General Kani in the head with no consequences. Those soldiers were being told there was consequences. We don't know if there were any consequences. Rich Biz was being beaten right, in full view, the police. Beaten, nothing happened. Look at Black Apple. Tortured, beaten, nothing happened. Look at the soldier abducting a former ambassador in broad daylight. And we know the name. What is happening? Nothing. Now, when these things are happening and when these occurrences are there, people think it's very far-fetched. It's very next to you. It's something we must say no to. The government systems seem to be collapsing because of the heavy-handedness of the president. The police can't protect us. Soldiers can't protect us. They become tools of violence. They become tools of terror. The only people that can stop is the people. The people can stop this. And we can only stop this by voting them out and refusing to be manipulated. If you have a responsibility in the coming elections, please look behind you, look at your family, look at everybody, look at your community. That do you want that community disintegrated just because we have to save a leader we put in there to take control of things, not through violence? We cannot defeat authoritarian behavior by violence. No. We defeat it by becoming very organized. We become informed. We become fearless. And we become impossible to silence. When we become impossible to silence, the leader will budge. The leader will budge when we show that this is not the way that people live. It's embarrassing for some of us that are in these diasporas and the way people look at our countries when they see soldiers dying. I had to lie to my own son today because I couldn't tell him that was Zambia. He found me looking at that and said, "What is this?" I was like, no, it was somewhere where they are beating. But then he hid the Bemba because he understands it. He said, but this is, I said, oh, it was the soldiers misbehaving. How can they do this to a person? Now, imagine children seeing what they're seeing. And they're beating somebody's dad and they're laughing about it. Is that the Zambia we want? There's no way we should allow that. Then
Thank you.
the ambassador, a quick one that I want to debug. This is the constant talk about Vapompwe. They've twisted the scenario about calling people that have not been presidents before as Vapompwe. When they've been joined by real Pompwes, some of them convicted, they are now endorsing them. Look at how they just keep stealing. Gold scanned at the airport, stolen. Sujilite, gone. 3.5 billion financial illicit. There has been no investigation coming in. And if you talk about those, you are a next target. 80 million mysteriously goes into China. It has never come back. No one is asking. 65 containers of medicine is quiet. 77 million gone into unpaid maize dues. Nothing. Oil tankers. This is a major one, Ambassador. We've never spoken about it. Remember that there were oil tankers that were given use. Information has it that these were shared. Can they tell us one youth group that has come aged on the fuel tankers? Where are the fuel tankers? Who is having them? They are still in broad daylight and twist and they throw it on other people. We can't have a government that does these things. Just plainly refusing. When they are caught pants down, they refuse, they twist facts, and it can't just be like that. We need to change. And the Zambians, you have a chance within the next 2 days. Vote. Rise up. Go and vote and stick and protect the vote. No vote manipulation. Refuse for someone to change the way you voted. We must refuse. I submit.
Thank you very much. Let me bring in my dear brother, Dr. Bransampat, to conclude.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I've really enjoyed listening to my two colleagues. They have really brought out a lot of important points. I want to start with one of the callers who called and talked about the narcissistic personality disorder. I sent you a picture, Ambassador. I don't know if you're able to show it. That is like, I had to come up with a simple summary. I just made that using AI.
So let me read for you because I think the microphone, me as controller, you are not connected. So I think people can see. Number one, they feel superior. Number two, they need admiration. Number three, they lack empathy. They have a sense of entitlement. They exploit others. They're very sensitive to criticism, and they're very envious. And then they display arrogant behavior. Doc, why are you invoking your medical expertise here?
Yeah, because most of the people have asked actually, because you may be dealing with bigger things and then you are taking it like it's just political rhetoric. You see, what we have seen is a scenario where most of the people have complained about lack of empathy. Ambassador, our PS, and our other colleague, Ngamwalodesha, what has been happening from 2021. The people have been treated without empathy. We have a government that, as long as they don't agree with you, they can do anything to you and they won't even care. It reached its pinnacle when the president died, President Edgar Lungu. I expected that in our culture, when somebody dies, you put aside all your differences and mourn as a nation. But we have a country where the president had allowed his minions to go ahead and insult the family. They have mocked that family. Up to now, even the mayor, the one who is standing as mayor of Lusaka for UPND, was still mocking the family of the late ECL. And we've got people in the highest offices in the UPND talking about ECL like he's just a useless person, saying Akatumbi. People should eat Akatumbi Kawo, dancing to the death of ECL. When I saw that, I realized something was very wrong. They say Isabi kuola diambila kumutwe. Nombo wafya wawapo. When that fish is rotten kumutwe, other people, balambo coping manners, the same manners of a rotten fish is what the followers of UPND are doing. And it's very difficult to preach to these converted individuals. You can't tell them anything because for them, what he tolerates is what they tolerate. This is a person who can go on the podium and insult with impunity. This is a person who threatened this year when he was alive to say, oh, you want to come back? Nalamba konombe mingalato. Like one of our callers said, imingalato is for entertainment. Imingalato is supposed to be something good. For instance, you can be shrewd and go about talking to people, convincing people how to vote for you. That could be Mingalato. But for him, he got criminality and called it Mingalato. Him, when people go to other areas to learn new languages, they first learn how to greet. They also learn how to offer help. Him, the first thing he learned when he wanted to understand Bemba very well was how to insult in Bemba. Then he moved now how to use criminality to describe it in Bemba as Mingalato, which is something so disheartening. And this is a person who is very arrogant. The person who feels entitled that is the only person who can lead Zambia, he said, I cannot hand over to these people. I am better than them. I'm the one who's supposed to do this. He has exploited other places to his own personal expedience. Look at what he does to Western Province. He hasn't developed it, not even a bit. Northwestern Province, not even a bit. He even went ahead and exploited people from other provinces just for his personal gain. But has he done anything? No. He uses people and discards them. This is a person who is very sensitive to criticism. Bamwamba, you are outside of the country right now, not because you committed any crime, but merely for expressing yourself, merely for doing what is right. But as long as you criticize this government, that person has got no nerve to tolerate any kind of criticism. He likes admiration. He's got an army of admirers who are called praise singers. And these praise singers, he enjoys that. As long as you can be a praise singer, he is going to embrace you. He feels superior. Everyone has seen. He calls himself by name. It is for the first time. I never heard ECL in all his entirety ever saying, Edgar Lungu is going to make sure that he does this. Edgar Lungu is the best person to rule this country. I never heard Edgar Lungu call himself like that. Not even you, Ambassador. I've never heard you call yourself. You've never mentioned, oh, Ambassador Mwamba is going to make sure that he does. No, it's the highest level of feeling superior where you are able to even call yourself. He does that every time. Yesterday, he was like, where there is Hakainde, you will find this and that. He said, Hakainde Hichilema is going to. He calls himself. Sometimes if you are a first person listening to him, you may think he's talking about somebody else, but he's talking about himself. He's able to come out of his skin and start praising himself. That is how bad it is about this feeling of superior. And the lack of empathy is very much pronounced. I think people should be able to make their own judgment, but we are able to observe. We are able to observe and see what is really happening. Something is really wrong. Now, coming to the big elephant right now, Thursday is voting day. Here's the thing. I want Zambians to remember this. In 2021, when they voted this government into office, they were buying mealie meal between 90 and 120. They had their own businesses of welding, others were doing barbing, others were doing salons. This government came, they destroyed those businesses. The first thing they did was to take away your electricity and sold it to the outside. And whilst they were doing that, they were enriching themselves. If you read the reports about the Kanona saga, the people are making millions in salaries, and those are people who are connected to the president. Whilst you Zambians were going without electricity for more than 23 hours. Others were going for days without electricity. I want Zambians to remember that this same mealie meal, which was going between 90 and 120, now started reaching as high as 500. And during this period, for the first time, Zambians were queuing for mealie meal, something that has never happened. And this is because the same government prioritized foreigners. They went ahead and sold all the mealie meal, or they went and sold the maize to the outside. It was so embarrassing that later they wanted to start importing the same maize. But while the Zambians were complaining, this government was telling you that Fimbo Poke. They were mocking you. This same government was telling you, you don't work hard, you are used to tantamen. I want Zambians to remember the mockery that they have gone through during this period. Secondly, I want Zambians to remember why, even on this show, Ambassador, we have had more than 10 callers, but only about 3 or 4 were able to identify themselves. The rest were saying anonymous. I want Zambians to remember that there was a time when they would call and say, I am Dr. Proud. Everyone knew who was Dr. Proud. Everyone knew where that proud person used to live, in Kanyama, if it was in Garden. Everyone knew where they lived, and they knew they were staunch UPND, but nobody touched them. They kept on campaigning for UPND for years and years, and they were safe. People were running Koswe, people were running Watchdog. They were known. Larry Mwito and the friends were all over, even sponsoring people to do wrong things. They were even going online to say, Ukoku Zambia, if you go and bend this, I'm going to make sure I send you some money. They were able to be coming to Zambia. Ama ambassadors Zambia, like that ambassador who was the ambassador for Australia, he used to come to Zambia, but he was a major critic for the PF, but he could still come and visit Zambia. I want Zambians to remember they should compare and contrast. People survived. Nobody was arrested just for merely expressing themselves. People lived normal lives. What people should remember is that this election is a make or break. The Zambia you are seeing today will not be there if this guy wins. If Hakainde wins, you come and remember this show. There will be no democracy anymore. And there is not going to be any freedoms that you are enjoying right now. I want people to remember how they grabbed the seat for Boma Lusambo, despite the court having put an injunction there. I want Zambians to remember how they have treated the ECL family and everyone connected to Edgar Lungu. And remember now how they are treating Munduwile, how they have treated Gary Nkombo, how they have arrested musicians and everyone. Is this the state we want to live in? The answer is no. It is indeed terrorism happening in front of our nose. Let's all go out in masses. On Thursday, I urge all the Zambians. We are going to provide with some people. Even now, me, I've given myself. I'm helping some people. I've sent some people some transport. I'm helping where I can to make sure that people can go and vote. And we are going to make sure that we get the reports. Ambassador, we need to put our hands together, send the numbers out so that we can be receiving real-time information, and then we can be reacting to these things. I've offered my number. I'll send it. If it's possible, you can give it out there, a WhatsApp number, which I've created so that people can bring out, if we've got an SOS, people can call. We try to escalate matters so that we help our people to make sure they remove this dictator who is in the making. Because I can tell you, if this 13th August we don't do the right thing, it will be the scenario of Tanzania. And we don't want that to happen. Zambians are very intelligent people, and Zambians cannot be manipulated. I think I raised my case.
Thank you very much. Family, I would like to thank you for this opportunity. Please, you have to sacrifice more. We've done the countdown. Tomorrow, it will be 1 day to election. And on Thursday, it will be 0 day. We have to do the coverage. We see the turnout and begin to wait for results. And you have to sacrifice more. So thank you very much for the opportunity. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
On behalf of the Mpamba Royal Establishment, and indeed on behalf of Temba Mpamba 6, Temba Mpamba is concerned and woke up to a shock to hear the news of the happenings around Martha Lungu Mwituma, You may be interested to know that Martha Lungu Mwitumwa comes from Mpamba Chiefdom. And as a royal establishment, and indeed Chief Mpamba himself is concerned about what has happened to her. We come to address the nation on this matter, that if indeed Martha Mwitumwa has been purportedly abducted or arrested or indeed detained and in the authority or custody of the police, we want to appeal to the command to give us specific information of her whereabouts. Chief Mpamba wants to know where her niece is, together with her friend. We have tried to get in touch with the husband, who has indicated to His Royal Highness that he equally doesn't know the whereabouts of Martha Mwitumwa Lungu. Countrymen and women, we are only 2 days away from elections. As a royal establishment, we want to appeal to the people of Lundas and indeed the whole country that we must hold this peace. We must stay calm. Let us go and vote in numbers. Let us go to vote for peace. We appeal to His Excellency the President to stand steadfast and hold this peace firmly on behalf of the Zambian people, as he saw constitutionally. We want the police command, we demand that they update us, they update the nation, the whereabouts of Martha Mwitumwa Lungu. She was taken, we have seen the videos on social media, with unregistered motor vehicles. Gunshots were fired. This needs to be verified, and we need the information as a royal establishment so that we know the whereabouts of our daughter. We want to go into this election as one people, as one Zambia. The president has preached unity, and he has preached that there should be no arrest until investigations are concluded. We therefore want to appeal, as the president has always appealed himself, that this must be done justly, peacefully, and sincerely. Where there is violence, let us...
Okay. On behalf of the Finlay family, our family has published a statement on Veldon Harry Finlay's Facebook page regarding the circumstances surrounding his detention. We wish to confirm that to the best of our knowledge, the events described in that statement are accurate. At this time, we have not been officially informed of his current whereabouts. We have not been granted access to him. We have not been provided with clear information regarding his continued detention. To the best of our knowledge, he has not been formally charged with any offense. We have not been permitted to provide him with his required medication, which is a matter of serious concern to our family. Serious concern. Our family respectfully appeals to the relevant authorities to urgently clarify Veldon's whereabouts, allow appropriate access to him, and ensure that he is able to receive any medication and care he requires. Above all, we appeal for this matter to be handled transparently and strictly in accordance with the law, with Veldon's legal fundamental rights fully respected. We remain deeply concerned for his safety and well-being, and respectfully request urgent clarification from the relevant authorities. Please, we thank everybody for the support, and please could you be with us in prayers for Veldon. Thank you.